What's up, YouTube world? Pio and I are going to give you a full demo. Actually, Pio's going to do most of it, but we're going to intro it together because then I got to drive to California and pick up powder coat. But we're going to give you a full video because we haven't done one of these in a while, and the last one we did was like the first version. Yes. So this is the new latest version. So we're going to give you a full unboxing, show you all the parts it's going to get, and then we're going to show you how to install. He's going to show you how to install the tailgate latch kit that we make for 67 to 72 and 74 to 87.
Yes.
So let's get into it, as they say on YouTube.
Got 2 latch covers, 2 striker plates, hardware, and 2 latches.
Just so everybody knows, this unboxing wasn't planned. So this is literally how you get it. Where's our piece of paper? So all that's going to come with it for instructions is going to be this piece of paper and a sticker.
And a sticker.
But this piece of paper is going to be your template. This is all you get. And the reason this is all you get is it's pretty self-explanatory for an install. But you're going to trim along those edges, which Pio will show and get into it. But this is what comes in the kit. Maybe one day we'll have like fancy packaging and things, but for right now, this is it. All these parts are coated, so they will not rust. You can scuff them and paint if you want to, but basically they're designed to go straight on and no rusting. It is steel. It's not aluminum or stainless, but it's all coated and ready to go. So let's go out to the truck and get Pio started. All right, so we're gonna be doing this install on Chef Jets. This is a 72 GMC. Pretty much applies to all 67, 72, but you can see this thing is all original, never been touched. And this is a great opportunity for us to show you the difference between our kit and the factory kit when it's all 100% factory metal. Obviously, if you're running new stuff, like that truck over there, then there's gonna be slight differences, but we allow for the differences with the hole sizes. We give you plenty of adjustment. And Pio can show you too, sometimes you'll need to space these off of the bedside just to get everything to line up right, but we'll show you all that. Pio will run through all of it. But I'm gonna hand the mic over to Pio so he can do this more professionally than us holding the microphone going like this. But he can show you how bad a factory tailgate opens and then how good it's gonna open when it's all done. And the whole thing in between. Here you go, Pio.
All right, guys, so this is what you have factory, and most of these trucks don't close like that, so you have to go really hard, which over time bends your tailgate, messes up your latches, just becomes worse. As you can see, that's how most people have to do it, is you have to pull the handle, close, let go, and test. So we're gonna eliminate that to where we just close nicely. We're gonna go ahead and lift our tailgate, and we wanna push this hinge forward. And then at some point it lines up with that, so then we still have one on the other side, which is why we're not worried about letting the tailgate go. We're gonna go ahead and remove these 2 bolts here. Now we're gonna go ahead and remove these bolts that hold the lever for the tailgate. So we can access, we don't want to shut it because we're taking the handle off. So we don't want to shut it, we just want to lift it up to where we can drop the handle. And there's 2 rods in here. We want to remove those by pushing them back. Once you remove one, you're going to be able to bring this down a little lower. As you can see here, here's the other rod. We're just going to go ahead and pull that back, remove that, and there's the handle. Now we can go ahead and remove the latch here, the factory latch, and this will come out with the cable. You might have to put your hand in here to release the cable or push it into the tailgate. And there it is. And the way you remove the cable is you turn this and it drops right out. And we want to save the rod as well. Don't need this anymore. All right, guys, now we're gonna follow up and do the passenger side. But since we're gonna be removing this, your tailgate's gonna fall. So we have this little chair that doesn't have a backrest, and we can adjust it so it lands on the tailgate. So that'll hold it up there. So let's go ahead and remove this cable stay, and tailgate stays on the chair. And we want to show you here, it's not letting you pull it out any further, and the reason is the rod gets stuck. You just got to hold it with your fingers and pull out on the end over here. And there it is. And again, you'll remove the rod from there. This is going here as a template, so you'll have to trim a little bit of the tailgate. So we're gonna go ahead and start with template A and cut this out. Now that we have our template cut out, we're gonna go ahead and put it in here and line these edges up of the tailgate, and that's the area we're gonna be trimming. Next, we're gonna go ahead and cut this other template out, template B. Where the dotted line is, that's what lines up in this hole here. So that will cover the hole, and the rest of this over here is what we want to mark and cut out. You guys can see that these brackets here have notches on them. One has 2 notches. The 2 notch is going to be the passenger side, and the single notch is going to be the driver's side. The kit comes with a 5/16 button head, and that's what's going to go through this hole that doesn't have threads in it. And that hole should line up with that. And that's what we're bolting this to. So before we put the brackets on or anything else, we want to test fit this and make sure that we have cut enough in here to where we can get this bolt to slide in there. As you can see, this bolt is not lined up with that. So we're going to need to trim a little more for the spring to clear. Because of the variations of all the tailgates and everything, some tailgates might have more clearance than others. So we're just gonna have to go around and trim a little more here. Now that we've trimmed a little more for the spring to clear, we're gonna go ahead and test fit this again. And if we can start threading this bolt in, that's how we know we have enough room there. So this is our latch cover. We're gonna go ahead and put this right over our latch. And as you can see, all the bolts line up. We're gonna go ahead and put the 5/16 on the single side over here. And anytime you're using stainless, you wanna put some anti-seize on here so it doesn't gall up and get stuck. And now we're gonna test fit this, but we're also gonna install it so we can mark this hole over here on the top. So go ahead and put that in there, line up your hole, tighten this up. It just needs to be on there so we can see where this other hole is going to be. Go ahead and get your Sharpie out, and you want to mark for a hole there. On this spot that we marked in here, inside the channel of the tailgate, we're gonna have to drill this out for a nutsert. So we have our drill bits here. This is a 1/4-20 nutsert, and the diameter you have to drill the hole for this to slide over is 25/64 drill bit. We're gonna go ahead and do an 1/8" pilot hole. All right, guys, in the kit, we go ahead and provide you with a bolt and a nut so you can install the nutsert without having to buy a tool. Want to make it as easy as possible for you guys. So we're going to go ahead and need a 7/16 socket and a 1/2" wrench. You're going to go ahead and hold the 1/2" wrench on the nut, and you're going to tighten this as you put it inside this hole. You want to push it in all the way, and then you're going to go ahead and hold the nut and tighten the bolt, and that's gonna crush the nutsert. You want to tighten it until the tension on that changes and it becomes really tight, and then you go ahead and take the bolt out, and there's the nutsert installed. Now that we have the nutsert installed, we can go ahead and install the latch. We first want to install the stainless button heads. These are 1/4 by 20, 3/4 long. Again, we want to make sure we put a little dab of anti-seize, and these go into the threaded holes of the latch. There's 2 of those. Those can just be hand tight for now. we're gonna go ahead and grab our 5/16, put it in there as well. Before we install this, we want to install the cable. Sometimes they have a coating on them that makes them a little difficult to slide them through. But another trick that we learned is if you grab some small zip ties, you zip tie these on here, onto the rod, one on each side. It prevents that rod from coming out when you're installing it. We go ahead and snip the excess off there. So when you have the latch installed, the other end of the latch, you want to make sure it's pointing down towards the tailgate handle, because when you install it, that's what clips on to the handle. You're going to go ahead and put the rod through there. And install the handle here. Before you tighten it, the other 1/4 button head is 1/2 inch long. This one is going to go on the nutsert that we installed. Now we're going to go ahead and tighten everything on here, starting with the cover. Now that we have our latch installed on the tailgate, we're going to move on to installing the striker plate. We first have to remove the tail light because we're going to be drilling a hole here for the striker plate, so we need to be able to tighten it. That bumper is there for these not to hit the backside of the bed. Since we are not going to be using those anymore, we need to get rid of this bumper. These striker plates are side specific. So this is the passenger side and this is driver. The part that has a flat spot here at an angle is the part that goes on top, and it goes towards the outside of the bed panel. Before we install this, we want to install the striker, and we have two different nuts here. They're both 3/8, but one is a large flange. So we're going to go ahead and use a large flange on the striker itself. That's going to give us the ability to use it. That's going to give us the ability to tighten this, and the nut should stay as long as you are applying pressure to it. We're going to go ahead and grab our 3/8 bolt, our shorter one, which I believe is 3/4 long, and we're going to install that one on the top. And that top bolt is going to determine where the bottom bolt ends up. So we're going to go ahead and mark that bottom bolt. And we can remove the striker plate again. And we now have that hole, and we'll drill that out to 3/8. Because of the variation in these tailgates, sometimes you might need to add washers behind it to make sure you have the right spacing for it to latch on the latch. For the bottom bolt that we drilled out, we're going to go ahead and use a 3/8 by 1 inch long. And we're going to go ahead and use the regular size serrated nut on the back side of it. These striker plates have bigger holes because you're going to need the adjustability to be able to move them out, up, down, wherever it needs to be for the striker to hit the latch at the right spot. So we're going to snug this down, and then from there we'll close the tailgate and see where this latch ends up going on the striker. Cable is kind of like the factory unit. It goes in one direction, but then once you turn it, it doesn't come out of there. So this is the bolt that holds the cable onto the striker plate. It does take plastic washers that the kit comes with. So first you'll do the one with the big hole. You put that on there. Then you'll put it on the cable. And then you'll put the one with the smaller hole. This one's a little bit tight, and it's made so it stays on there like as a kind of as a clip. Go ahead and install that. But we're going to put the handle in. This goes in just as a factory one would. You have your two rods here. So you want to put your top one on first, which is going to be your driver's side. Once you have that one, you slide it up a little bit. And then you try to put your passenger side rod on. You put your hardware back in. We're all wrapped up, guys. Now check out how easy it closes. Just like that. If you guys need one of these, go to the Tray 5 website down below.